The Hebrew Bible, the 5 books of Moses, Book of Numbers, chapter 14. And all the community lifted their voice and put it forth, and the people wept on that night. And all the Israelites complained against Moses and against Aaron. And all the community said to them, "Would that we had died in the land of Egypt or in this wilderness. Would that we had died. And why is the Lord bringing us to this land to fall by the sword? Or women and our little ones will become booty? Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt?" And they said, one man to another, "Let us put up ahead and return to Egypt." Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the community of Israelites. And Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, from those who had scouted the land, tore their garments. And they said to all the community of Israelites, saying, "The land through which we passed to scout, the land is very, very good. If the Lord favors us, he will bring us to this land and give it to us, a land that is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and you do not fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their shade has turned from them, and the Lord is with us. Not fear them." And all the community meant to pelt them with stones, but the glory of the Lord appeared in the tent of meeting to all the Israelites. And the Lord said to Moses, "How long will this people despise me, and how long will they not trust me with all the signs that I have done in their midst? Let me strike them with a plague and dispossess them, and I shall make you a nation greater and mightier than they." And Moses said to the Lord, "The Egyptians will hear that through your power you brought up this people from their midst, and will say to the inhabitants of this land, 'They have heard that you, the Lord, are in the midst of this people. For eye to eye you are seen, Lord, and your cloud stands over them, and in a pillar of cloud you go before them by day, and in a pillar of fire by night, and you would put to death this people as a single man.' And the nation who have heard rumor of you will say, saying, 'From the Lord's inability to bring this people to the land that he swore to them, he slaughtered them in the wilderness.' And so the Lord, let the Lord's power, pray, be great as you have spoken, saying, 'The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in kindness, bearing crime and trespass. Yet he does not wholly acquit, reckoning the crime of fathers with sons, with the third generation and the fourth. Forgive, pray, the crime of this people through your great kindness, and as you have borne with this people from Egypt till now.' And the Lord said, 'I have forgiven according to your word, and yet as I live, let the Lord's glory fill all the earth. For all men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have I tried me 10 times over, and have not heeded my voice. They shall never see the land that I swore to their fathers, and all who despise me shall not see it. But my servant Caleb, inasmuch as there was another spirit with him, and he followed after me, I shall bring him to the land to which he comes, and his seed will take hold of it. And then the Amalekite and the Canaanite dwell in the valley. And tomorrow turn and journey onward in the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea." And the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "How long for this evil community that raises against me? The complaints of the Israelites, that which they complain against me, I have heard. Say to them, as I live, the Lord declares, just as you have spoken in my hearing, so will I do to you. In this wilderness your corpses will fall, and all your reckoned ones from 20 years old and up, for you have complained against me. You shall never come into the land about which I lifted up my hand, vowing to make you dwell within it, except for Caleb son of Jephunneh and Joshua son of Nun, and your little ones, of whom you said they would become booty. I shall bring them, and they will know the land that you cast aside. And your own corpses will fall in the wilderness, and your sons will be herdsmen in the wilderness 40 years, and they will bear you whoring until your corpses come to an end in the wilderness. By the number of days that you scouted the land, 40 days, a day for a year. A day for a year you will bear your crimes 40 years, and you will know what it is to thwart me. I, the Lord, have spoken. Will I not do this to all this evil community that joins forces against me? In this wilderness shall they come to an end, and there shall die there. And the man whom Moses had sent to scout the land, who came back and set all the community complaining against him, putting forth an ill report about the land, the man who put forth an ill and evil report of the land died in the scourge before the Lord. And Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb of Jephunneh were left alive from those men who had gone to scout the land. And Moses spoke these words to all the Israelites, and the people mourned deeply. And they rose early in the morning and went up to the mountaintop, saying, Here we are, and we shall go up to the place that the Lord said, for we have offended. And Moses said, Why is it you are overstepping the Lord's word, when it will not succeed? Do not go up, for the Lord is not in your midst, lest you be routed before your enemies. For the Amalekite and the Canaanite are there in front of you, and you will fall by the sword. You have not turned back from the Lord, and the Lord will not be with you. And they strove to go up to the mountaintop and the ark of the Lord's covenant, and Moses did not budge from the midst of the camp. And the Amalekite and the Canaanite who dwelt on the mountain came down and struck them and shattered them all the way to Hormah. Chapter 15. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites, and you shall say to them, When you come to the land of your settlement that I am about to give to you, you shall make a fire offering to the Lord, a burnt offering or a sacrifice to set aside, a votive or a voluntary offering, or in your fixed seasons to make a fragrant odor to the Lord from the cattle or from the flock. And he who brings forward his offering to the Lord shall bring forward a grain offering of fine semolina, 1/10 measuring, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil. And wine for the libation, 1/4 of a hin, you shall make with a burnt offering, or for the sacrifice for each sheep, or for the ram you shall make a grain offering of fine semolina, 2/10 measures, mixed with 1/3 of hin of oil, and wine for the libation, 1/3 of a hin. You shall bring forward a fragrant odor to the Lord. And should you make a heat of cattle as a burnt offering, or a sacrifice to set aside, a votive or communion sacrifice to the Lord, the person shall bring forward with the head of cattle a great offering of fine semolina, 3/10 of a measure, mixed with half a hin of oil of wine. You shall bring forward for the libation half a hin of fire offering, a fragrant odor to the Lord. Those shall be done for the one bull, or the one ram, or the lamb, or of the sheep, or the goats. For the number that you do, those you shall do for each one according to their number. Every native shall do those to bring forward a fire offering, a fragrant odor to the Lord. And should a sojourner reside with you, or anyone in your midst for your generations, he shall make a fire offering, a fragrant odor to the Lord, as you do, so shall he do. The assembly wants to choose for you and for the sojourner who resides an indigo twist. And it shall be, who resides a perpetual statute for your generations. You and the sojourner alike shall there be before the Lord. One teaching and one practice shall there be for you and for the sojourner who resides with you. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites, and you shall say to them, When you come to the land to which I am about to bring you, when it happens that you eat of the bread of the land, you shall present a donation to the Lord, the first yield of your kneading troughs, a round loaf you shall present in the donation. Like the donation from the threshing floor, those you shall present it. From the first yield of your kneading through you shall give to the Lord a donation for your generation. And should you err and not do all these commandments that the Lord spoke to Moses, all that the Lord has charged you by the hand of Moses from the day that the Lord had charged and henceforth for your generations, and should it happen that it was done as an errancy away from the eyes of the community, the whole community shall make one bull from the cattle as a burnt offering, a fragrant odor to the Lord, and its grain offering and its libation according to fixed practice, and one he-goat for an offense offering. And the priest shall atone for all the community of the Israelites, and it will be forgiven to them, for it is an errancy, and they will have brought their offering, a fire offering to the Lord, and their offense offering before the Lord for their errancy, and it will be forgiven to all the community of Israelites and to the sojourner who resides in their midst. For the whole people is errant. And if a single person errantly offends, he shall bring forward a yearling she-goat as an offense offering. And the priest shall atone for the person erring in his offense and errancy before the Lord, to atone for him, and it will be forgiven him. And for the native among the Israelites and for the sojourner who resides in their midst, one teaching there shall be for them, for him who does an errancy, and the person who does it with a high hand, whether from the native or from the sojourner, he reviles the Lord, and the person shall be cut off from the midst of his people, for he has spurned the word of the Lord, and his commandment he has violated. That person shall surely be cut off, his crime is upon him. And the Israelites were in the wilderness, and they found a man gathering wood on the Sabbath day. And those who found him gathering wood brought him forward to Moses and to Aaron and to all the community. And they placed him under watch, for it had not been determined what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, "The man is doomed to die. Let all the community pelt him with stones outside the camp." And all the community took him outside the camp and pelted him with stones, and he died, as the Lord had charged Moses. And the Lord said to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites, and you shall say to them that they should make them a fringe on the skirts of their garments for their generations, and place on the fringe of the skirt an indigo twist. And it shall be a fringe for you, and you shall see it, and be mindful of all the Lord's commandments, and you shall do them. And you shall not stray after your heart and after your eyes, after which you go whoring, so that you will be mindful and do my commandments, and you shall be holy to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to become your God. I am the Lord your God." Chapter 16. And Korah, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took up, and they rose before Moses, and 250 men of the Israelites' community, chieftains, persons called up meeting men of renown, and they assembled against Moses and against Aaron, and said to them, "You have too much for all the community, they are all holy, and in their midst is the Lord, and why should you raise yourselves up from the Lord's assembly?" And Moses heard and fell on his face, and he spoke to Korah and all his community, saying, In the morning the Lord will make known who is his, and him who is holy he will bring close to him, and him whom he chooses he will bring close to him. Do this, take your fire pans, Korah and all your community, and place fire in them, and put an incense on them before the Lord tomorrow. And the man whom the Lord chooses, he is the Holy One. You have too much, sons of Levi. And Moses said to Korah, Listen, pray, sons of Levi, is it too little for you that the God of Israel divided you from the community of Israel to bring you close to him, to do the work of the Lord's tabernacle, to stand before the community to serve them? And he brought you close, and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you. And will you seek priesthood as well? Therefore, you and all your community who band together against the Lord and Aaron, what is he that you should murmur against him? And Moses sent to call to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and they said, We will not go up. Is it too little that you brought us up from a land flowing with milk and honey to put us to death in the wilderness, that you should also actually lord it over us? What's more, to a land flowing with milk and honey you have not brought us, nor given us an estate of field and vineyards. Would you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not go up. And Moses was very incensed, and he said to the Lord, Do not turn to their offering. Not a donkey of theirs have I carried off, and I have done no harm to any of them. And Moses said to Korah, You and all your community be before the Lord, you and they and Aaron tomorrow, and each man take his fire pan, and you shall place on it incense and bring it forward before the Lord, each man his fire pan, 250 fire pans, and you and Aaron, each man his fire pan. And each man took his fire pan, and they placed fire in them and put incense on them. They stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron, and Korah assembled all the community by the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the Lord's glory appeared to all the community. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, Divide yourselves from this community, and I will put an end to them in an instant. And they fell on their faces and said, El, God of the spirits for all flesh, should one man offend, and against all the community you rage? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the community, saying, Move up from around the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moses arose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel went after him. And he spoke to the community, saying, Turn away, pray from the tents of these evil men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be swept away in all their offense. And they moved up from the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, from all around. And Dathan and Abiram went out, poised at the entrance of their tents, and their wives, and their sons, and their little ones. And Moses said, By this shall you know that the Lord has sent me to do all the deeds, that it was not from my own heart, if like the death of all human beings these die, and if the fate of all human beings proves their fate, it is not the Lord who has sent me. But if I a new thing the Lord should create, and the ground gapes open its mouth, and swallows them on all of theirs, and they go down alive to Sheol, you will know that these men have despised the Lord. And it happened just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground that was under them split apart, and the earth opened his mouth and swallowed them and their households, and every human being that was Korah's, and all the possessions. And they went down, they and all that was theirs, alive to Sheol, and the earth covered them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And all Israel that was round about them fled at the sound of them, for they thought, Let the earth swallow us. And the fire had gone out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men bringing forward the incense. Chapter 17. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to Eleazar son of Aaron the priest, that he would lift up the fire pans from the midst of the burnt out zone, and scatter the fire abroad, for they have become holy, the fire pans of these offenders, at the cost of their lives. And they shall make of them hammered sheets as plating for the altar, for they brought them forward before the Lord, and they have become holy. And they will become a sign for the Israelites. And Eleazar the priest took the bronze fire pans that those burned to death had brought forward, and they hammered them into a plating for the altar, a remembrance for the Israelites, so that no stranger who was not of the seed of Aaron should come forward to burn incense before the Lord, and none should be like Korah and his community, as the Lord had spoken to him in the hand of Moses. And all the community of Israelites murmured on the next day against Moses and against Aaron, saying, You have put to death the Lord's people. And it happened when the community assembled against Moses and against Aaron, and they turned to the tent of meeting, and look, the cloud had covered it, and the Lord's glory appeared. And Moses and Aaron with him came before the tent of meeting. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Lift yourselves up from the midst of this community, and I will put an end to them in an instant. And they fell on their faces, and Moses said to Aaron, Take the fire pan and place fire upon it from the altar, and put an incense, and carry it quickly to the community, and atone for them. For the fury has gone out before the Lord, the scourge has begun. And Aaron took as Moses had spoken, and he ran into the midst of the assembly. And look, the scourge had begun against the people, and he put an incense and atoned for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the scourge was held back. And those who died by the scourge came in 14,700, besides those who died because of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the scourge was held back. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites, and take from them a staff for every father's house from all their chieftains, according to their father's houses, 12 staffs. Each man's name you shall write on his staff, and Aaron's name you shall write on the staff of Levi. For on one staff there is for the head of their father's house. And you shall lay them down in the tent of meeting before the ark of the covenant where I meet with you. And it will happen that the man whom I chose, his staff will flower. And I shall cause to subside from me the murmurings of the Israelites, which they murmur against you. And Moses spoke to the Israelites, and all their chieftains gave him a staff for every single chieftain, according to their father's houses, 12 staffs, and Aaron's staff was among their staffs. And Moses laid down the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the covenant. And it happened on the next day that Moses came into the tent of covenant, and look, Aaron's staff of the house of Levi had flowered, and it had brought forth flower, and had burgeoned in blossom, and had borne almonds. And Moses brought out all the staffs from before the Lord to the Israelites. And they saw, and each man took his staff. And the Lord said to Moses, Bring back Aaron's staff before the ark of the covenant as a safekeeping, as a sign for rebels, and let there be an end to their murmurings against me, and they shall not die. And Moses did as the Lord had charged him, those did he do. And the Israelites said to Moses, saying, Look, we perish, we are lost, all of us are lost. Whoever so much as comes near the Lord's tabernacle will die. Are we done with perishing? Chapter 18. And the Lord said to Aaron, And you and your sons and your father's house with you, you shall bear the guilt of the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you, you shall bear the guilt of your priesthood. And your brothers too, the tribe of Levi, your father's tribe, bring forward with you, and they will be Levite with you and serve you. And you and your sons with you are to be before the ark of the covenant, and they will keep your watch, the watch of all the tent. Only they must not come near the sacred vessels and the altar, so that they do not die both they and you. And they will be Levite with you, and keep the watch of the tent of meeting for all the work of the tent. And no stranger shall come near them. And you shall keep the watch of the sacred zone and the watch of the altar, that there be no more fury against the Israelites. And as for me, look, I have taken your brothers, the Levites, from the midst of the Israelites as a gift for you. They are given to the Lord to do the work of the tent of meeting. And you and your sons with you, you shall keep your priesthood for every matter for the altar and for inside the curtain. And you shall do the work. As gift work I shall give you priesthood, and the stranger who comes near will be put to death. And the Lord spoke to Aaron and asked for me, As for me, look, I have given you the watch of my donations for all the holy things of the Israelites. To you I have given them as a share, and to your sons as a perpetual statute. This will be yours from the most holy things, from the fire, all their offerings, including all the grain offerings, and all their offense offerings, and all their guilt offerings, that they give back to me, most holy things. They are for you and for your sons. In the most holy precincts, you shall eat it. Every male shall eat it. It will be holy for you. And This is yours, their gift of donations, including all the donation offerings of the Israelites. To you I have given them, and to your sons and to your daughters, with you as a perpetual statute. Every clean person in your household will eat it, all the riches of the oil, and all the riches of the wine and the grain, their prime yield that they give to the Lord, to you I have given them. The first fruits of all that is in their land, which they bring to the Lord, for you it will be. Every clean person in your household will eat it. Everything that has been proscribed in Israel, yours it will be. Every womb breach for all flesh that they offer to the Lord, whether human or beast, yours it will be. But you shall surely redeem every human firstborn, and the firstborn of unclean beasts you shall redeem, and its redemption price from a month old you shall redeem at the best, as the value in silver of 5 shekels, by the sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstborn of an ox, or the firstborn of a sheep, or the firstborn of a goat you shall not redeem. They are holy. Their blood you shall throw upon the altar, and their fat you shall turn to smoke, a fire offering with pleasing fragrance to the Lord, and their fresh flesh will be yours. Like the best of the elevation offering, and like the right thigh, yours it will be. All the donations of the holy things that the Israelites donate to the Lord, I have given to you and to your sons and to your daughters, with you as a perpetual statute, a perpetual covenant of salt. It is before the Lord for you and your sons, and for your seed with you. And the Lord said to Aaron, in their land you shall have no estate, and to portion shall you have in their midst. I am your estate and your portion in the midst of the Israelites. And to the Levites, look, I have given every title in Israel as an estate in exchange for their work, that they perform the work of the tent of meeting. And the Israelites will no longer draw near to the tent of meeting to bear offense to die. And the Levite, he shall perform the work of the tent of meeting, and they will bear the guilt. It is a perpetual statute for your generations, and in the midst of the Israelites they will have no estate. For the title of the Israelites which they donate to the Lord, I have given as a donation to the Levites for an estate. Therefore did I say to them, in the midst of the Israelites they will have no estate. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, and to the Levites you shall speak, and you shall say to them, when you take from the Israelites the title that I have given you from them as your estate, you shall donate from it the Lord's donation, a tithe and of the tithe, and it will be accounting from you as your donation, like the yield from the threshing floor, and like the matured wine from the vat. So shall you too donate the Lord's donation from all your tithes that you take from the Israelites, and you shall give from them the Lord's donation to Aaron and the priest. From all your gifts you shall donate the Lord's donation, from all their riches of it, the consecrated part of it. And you shall say to them, when you donate the riches of it, it will be accounted for the Levites like the yield from the threshing floor, and like the yield from the vat. And you shall eat it in every place, you and your households, for it is wages for you in exchange for your work in the tent of meeting. And you shall not bear offense for it when you donate the riches of it, and you shall not profane the holy things of the Israelites, and you shall not die.